Now let's take a look at the student view of the presentation. When students log in, if you're using a laptop, it will look like this. If you're using an iPad, it will look slightly different, but they will all be asked to enter the PIN. So each presentation will be given a unique PIN like we saw from the teacher's point of view. Have the students enter the PIN and click OK. Then students will enter their name, as we saw from the teacher's point of view. And remember, I mentioned the students hitting the exit button. There's the exit button that they should never press at any point during the lesson. As a student, you can see there's no arrows for them to move the presentation forward. So the teacher will be doing that from his or her computer or iPad. And once again, the student will sometimes be prompted more than once depending on the presentation, but there the student entered the username, and as the teacher is ready to move on, he or she will then move the presentation along forward. So you can see the student is not clicking or doing anything, but now here we get to the website and the students can click to open the website. So they can now view this on their own computer or iPad and watch the video and complete the activity as instructed by the teacher. When they're done, of course, they close this out and the teacher is ready to move forward to the next portion of the presentation. And here you can see the student poll question. What is one characteristic of a trapezoid? And let's say the student chooses that one pair of opposite sides are parallel. And then they will submit their poll. And then again, they cannot move on until the teacher is ready. And then if they need to draw an isosceles triangle for our first draw it feature, then they will do that next. As you can see, it's a little bit difficult to draw accurate diagrams with this, but you can get the general idea from the students' drawing if that's what you're looking for. So they can send their drawing and then they'll wait for the next part of the presentation and they'll finally circle all of the polygons that they see in the diagram. Once the student sends their drawing and the presentation is complete, now we can look at the data as the teacher view and what we can see from the students. During the presentation, as you scroll through the presentation and students are given the poll questions to answer or the draw it feature, you can see the data and the information immediately as soon as they enter it in to their iPad or their laptop. So we can see here that student A answered B, which is correct, and since student A is the only one that answered, then 100% of our students answered the question correctly. As we move through the presentation, you can wait for a drawing from the student, and you saw me draw it earlier, but as student A draws the drawing and then submits it, you can see what they drew as soon as they send it to the teacher. So you can see it's coming in here in just a second. You can make it bigger if you want, if you can't see it as well. Also, if you have one student that has an exceptionally great drawing that you want to show, you can share it to the other students, or you can just use this for your own data. And finally, the last question asks students to circle the correct figures for polygons. So as they do that and they send it to you, you will see their responses. So student A should be coming in here any second and we can see what it looks like and whether or not they answer the question correctly. If you need more time to go back through and assess whether the students did well with the lesson or needed some additional help, you can always go back to the Assess tool, click on the lesson, find the date that you did the presentation with your students, and then you can go back and review the results. So if you need to collect data or do something with the data in the future, you can do that and you can see an overall summary. You can find, we didn't have any quizzes, but we did have a poll, so you can find the results from the poll, and you can see in this case we didn't have a student 3, but if there was a student 3 that didn't answer, you might know who that is. And then finally, we didn't have an open-ended, but we had a few draw it, so you can go back and see what the students submitted and collect data for future use. So those are the features of some basic features of the Nearpod and how to implement it in your classroom. If you would like some more information on different tools, please continue with the intermediate video tutorials in the next group of video tutorials.